So, another year, another Bond. If I can describe this in one sentence, it would be, at the beginning of the film, I feel like someone's come up to me and kicked me in the bollocks. But at the end of the film, I feel like that same person's come up to me and given me a hug and said, you know what, forget the fact that I've kicked you in the nuts. I love you, Brad. That's how this film feels. As is tradition with these new Bond films, everything needs to be personal. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I actually like that aspect of these films. It's almost as if the world's not at stake, but James Bond's world is. And that's actually quite intimate, and that's nice. The opening scene of this film is one shot, and it is fantastic. You see James Bond walking through the Festival of the Dead, or the Carnival of the Dead, or something of the Dead. There's a lot of skeletons and this, that and the other. It's quite cool. Now the problem I have with this film for the first hour and a half is the pacing. A film should be a bit like a mountain range, and it's not. This film is a massive U. Starts up here, dips down, and by the end you're right on top. The problem is there are some major inconsistencies with the pacing. It's action scene followed by a really long drawn out scene where there's no dialogue, and that just keeps happening back and forth, and some of it just feels forced. Dialogue just feels like it's there to set you up for the rest of the movie, and that's a bit of an issue when dialogue feels like it's there because it needs to be there and not because it just flows with the pace. Then there's a bit of an issue. Another issue I have with the film is Dave Bautista. Not Dave Bautista himself, the fact that they wasted him. When he's first introduced into this film, you think we've got another Jaws on our hands. He's that good as the henchman. He doesn't talk for a majority of the film, and that's incredible. I love the way they used the fact that he's still early in his acting career, really, because they've done the same thing in Guardians of the Galaxy, so a little bit insulting towards Dave, maybe. But he's great. I mean, there's some great action sequences with him. There's a chase scene, there's a fight scene between him and Bond, and he holds his own against Daniel Craig. He holds it. So I just wish they used him more. Another new actor to this franchise is Christoph Waltz, who absolutely smashes it in the last hour of this film. He's probably, the last hour of this film is without a doubt one of the best hours in any of the last 4 Bond films. But the last act of this film really is, as I can't stress enough, one of the best final acts of any Bond film that we've had, and Christoph Waltz is a massive part of that. He owns it as a villain. You believe it, you believe the relationship he has with Bond, and it's just incredible to watch. And never trust a man who doesn't wear socks. Another Bond film, another Bond girl. The issue I have with this is that it feels like the Bond girl, the relationship that she has with Bond, it just feels forced. Like I said with some other things throughout the film, it just feels like it's there because it needs to be there. It doesn't feel natural. Like in Casino Royale with Daniel Craig and Eva Green, you actually believed that relationship. With the relationship in this one, it felt like it was here just for the sake of leading towards the ending of the film, which I won't spoil. But it does lead up to this point, and you can see that coming from a mile away. Someone who really did bring it in this film is Sam Mendes, the director, the same guy who directed Skyfall. This guy doesn't know how to make a bad-looking movie. Everything in this film is shot impeccably. The action sequences, which even though can feel misplaced in the film, there's nothing wrong with the action sequences themselves. He can hang up his boots and know that he's left the franchise on a high. I'm one of the few people that would actually like to see Daniel Craig come back for one last Bond. The film suggests that he may not be, but there's a chance that he could come back. He doesn't wrap things up, but he doesn't leave the door open, as it were. I'd like to see him come back because I like him as Bond. I think it's one of the best Bonds we've had, if not the best. But is the franchise in need of mixing up a bit? I think it is at this stage, because for the first hour of this film I felt like we had another Quantum of Solace in our hands, and that's quite upsetting because I do not like Quantum of Solace. But like I said, if it was announced that Daniel Craig's coming back for one last run, I would like that. So where does this film rank in the list of Daniel Craig Bond films? It's not as good as Casino Royale, much better than Quantum of Solace, not as good as Skyfall, so 3 out of 4 is what I'd say. I'm going to give the film 3.5 out of 5. Not a very good first hour, but the last hour definitely makes up for that. So guys, that was our review of Spectre. Don't forget to subscribe below as we keep bringing you movie reviews. See you later.